Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 92 of Crunch Time with the N326 Duo. I'm your host today, Sam Gotzi, and with me today, as always, is Tanner Dyslin. Tanner, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. I tell you what, I'm actually thankful right now because if you remember, everyone out there who listened to last episode, we were talking about how we thought we were going to do a Mount Rushmore and we were going to struggle for things to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, here come the Boston Celtics winning
Mhm.
3 straight in the Eastern Conference Finals, forcing that game 7. So we had basketball up until when was that, on Sunday or Monday?
Sunday.
We had basketball up until Sunday, so we actually have something to talk about, something
Yeah.
new to talk about today. So should be pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We will talk about the NBA conference finals between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, as well as look into this NBA finals preview of course, the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. We also hop on the diamond with Dyslin and end the episode with a question. But as always, we talk about this and so much more on episode 92 of Crunch Time. Tanner, we're going to kick things off as we normally do. Winners and losers. Who is your winner for this episode?
Yeah, my winner is actually going to be comebacks because 2 major pitchers in the MLB had comebacks this week and ones that were very memorable. We're going to start with, I think, the bigger of the two, Liam Hendricks. If you did not see this, I'm not sure what rock you're living under, but Liam Hendricks is relief pitcher for the White Sox. He was a deadline acquisition a few years ago, one of the better relievers in baseball over the past 5 years or so. Going into the season, he was supposed to be a big part of the White Sox bullpen. He's supposed to be their closer, and it turns out that he started the season on the IL because he had cancer. He had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Well, he beat cancer and came back and pitched an inning in relief last week, and it was just a
Yeah.
great. It was one of those moments where it did help that it was home, but everyone in the park was clapping. The other team was clapping.
Yeah.
You clearly felt like you were just in a moment bigger than sports, which do happen every so often. And I mean, you can't imagine the emotions that his family, his teammates, all of them went through during that journey. Getting cancer, beating it, and then making his return to the baseball field. So, I mean, how can you not be a winner
Yeah.
when you have that type of comeback from cancer and come back and hopefully help to a White Sox team that is really struggling at the moment? But what a moment for Liam Hendricks.
That was really cool.
For sure. And then my other pitcher is someone that baseball fans might have forgotten about because his comeback journey was a little bit longer than Liam Hendricks. It is Michael Soroka. Sam, this guy was I'll just say he started opening day for the Atlanta Braves in 2020. Looks like he was going to be their number one pitcher for years to come. He just looked like a really good young arm for the Braves. Keep in mind, 2021 is when they won it all. So this was like a pretty good team in 2020. And in August, in just a game against the Mets, I remember I was watching it. Like when you're backpedaling and then you try to run forward and you plant your foot back and your foot goes flat and then you explode off it. Well, he was doing that. He was backing up a little bit and tried to explode off of it, and then he just fell over. And they showed the replay, and you can see when he exploded off his heel, in the back of his heel, you could see the ripple in the back of his heel. You could see it. You could totally see it, and couldn't move, couldn't put weight on it, and what everyone had feared had come true. He tore his Achilles, just an absolutely brutal injury, incredibly hard to come back from. The Achilles is definitely not a tendon that you want to mess with. But yeah, so he tore that, and then in 2021, about halfway through the year, this is when it gets just really brutal. In 2021, he was walking back to the clubhouse. It was in June. Walking back to the clubhouse, he suffered a complete re-tear of the Achilles tendon,
Oh,
ending his season that year, and it knocked him out for the entire 2022 season as well.
yeah.
So he hasn't made an MLB start in 3 years. In
Jeez.
3 years, but I believe it was 2 days ago. So Monday, I think it was Monday the 29th, is that? Yeah, Monday the 29th on Memorial Day is when he made his first start in 3 years. So
Jeez.
it's been a long time coming from Michael Soroka, and some of us remember how promising he looked as a member of that young Braves before they actually hit their stride. So, I mean, if he comes back and is as good as he was, it's certainly going to be a problem for me, for Mets fans. But I'm hoping that he can be a little bit closer to what he was before, because that's a rough stretch for Soroka.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a rough stretch. For me, I'm actually going to stay on the diamond. I have two winners actually for this episode. First, I'm going to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners softball team. They won a game 8-7 in extras over the Clemson Tigers last Saturday. Now, you might be wondering, why is that such a big deal? Because Oklahoma won their 48th straight game, which is a NCAA Division I record.
Not bad.
Yeah.
48 straight games. How many years is that? I mean, that's over. Definitely going back to last year. No,
Yeah. Gotta be, right?
I assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah. But yep, so Oklahoma is just an absolute wagon. Probably gonna go on and win it all. But yeah, they're just ridiculously impressive. This is like one of their closest game in that 48 straight win span. But that's my winner number one. And of course, Terry, you had to predict this. Of course, my second winner is the Eastern Illinois Panthers baseball team. Won the Ohio Valley Championship for the first time since 2008. They had won as a fifth seed, went on, actually dropped a game to Morehead State going into the loser bracket, and then working their way back into the championship to face none other than Morehead State, and they end up winning 6-5, getting that OVC championship. The Panthers record their 38th win, which actually set a new single season record that stood since 98, which was 37. So they punched their ticket to obviously the College World Series, and they are traveling to Nashville to play the Vanderbilt Commodores on this Friday. So watch out for Eastern Illinois. They could be a sneaky team in this College World Series.
Yeah, man, roll Thurs, right?
Roll Thurs. Shout
Thurs.
Lincoln Riley, not the Oklahoma or USC coach.
Gotcha.
But the center field for Eastern Illinois. So shout out you, Lincoln. But now let's flip it.
Before we move on,
ahead.
actually, this is shocking to me. I looked up Oklahoma's last loss.
Yeah.
So it was actually in February. So right now, Oklahoma's record is 56-1. So they've played 57 games. I guess I didn't realize they played that many games. But yeah, they lost in February to Baylor, but then went on to win 48 straight after that.
That's ridiculous.
They have a plus 422 run differential. They have scored 478 runs and given up 56.
Jeez.
Not bad. Not bad.
Crazy.
Not bad. Not bad.
Oklahoma is different when it comes to softball. But let's go on the other side of things, Tanner. Who's your loser?
I tell you what, Sam, it's actually this one took me a minute. It was actually a pretty good week in sports. Each two winners apiece,
Yeah.
right? I'm trying to find my loser, and I guess for my loser, I'm gonna go to Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if you saw what had come out about his contract, but he did sign a 3-year, $67.5 million contract to play with the Las Vegas Raiders, throwing to Devontae Adams, one of the best in the league, playing in that state-of-the-art new stadium. Seemed like a pretty good landing spot for him. But it came out, I think it was a Pro Football Talk, actually, PFT.
Shout out.
PFT came out and said, and reported that Garoppolo actually has a injury waiver is what it's called, injury waiver. So after his foot injury that resulted at the not at the end ish of last year,
Yeah.
that he failed his physical. So in order to go through with the contract, they put in this injury waiver, and it literally states that for anything to do with his foot, he can be released in 2023 with no responsibility from the team. They can just say you're gone and your contract is null and void. So I guess I don't really know how common those are.
Yeah.
How common
I've
that
never
is.
heard of it.
Seems like it's pretty big news. And I mean,
Yeah.
when you sign a $67 million contract and you failed, I mean, your foot's so bad that you failed the physical, and they say, yeah, we can cut you and we won't have to pay you a penny.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be a little bit of
Yeah.
a loser.
That definitely is valid. For my loser, though, is going to go into the NBA, and I'm going to talk about the longtime referee, Eric Lewis. It was found out that he possibly may be involved with a Twitter burner account. Yup. That's still a thing. His supposedly username was Blair Cutliff, and he responded to numerous posts on league officiating and defended himself and other NBA referees. Now, this is a current investigation because it is a league rule against referees commenting on officiating publicly without authorization, and he could potentially face discipline.
that is such a fantastic, just a fantastic headline.
Yeah.
First off, only the NBA, the best, the best reality TV show strikes again.
Yeah.
And it's over a freaking burner account.
Mhm.
That's too good, man. You can't make that up.
Yeah.
Can't make that up.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen this in the past with a couple people, but to get caught like this as a referee is a tough look for sure. But we kind of dabbled in some NBA talk with
there goes our remote. Sam knocks over.
With the NBA. Let's hop right into it. The Eastern Conference Finals. This was a wild series. Obviously, if I'm not mistaken, it was second half of the game 4.
Yeah.
And Miami was up by like 10 at half, and we're like, well, if all things pan out, you'll be celebrating a Miami Heat victory, and it's going to be a sweep. We're going to have 8 days with no basketball. Boy, were we wrong, Tanner. The Celtics went on one of the most impressive 3-game spans, winning Game 4, 116-99, then 110-97, and of course, Game 6, the game winner by, of course, Derek White with the putback. And then we go into last Monday, Game 7. Tanner, talk us through this one.
Yeah, but first off, I do want to address. I know what you're thinking. The Derek White, like why did Derek White have the ball in his hands? Don't worry, they did in fact get it to their best player. Marcus Smart did take the last shot.
This is true.
They didn't bother with Tatum. They didn't bother with Jaylen Brown. Don't worry, they were smart about it. They went to Marcus Smart for the last shot. But
so bad.
Anyway, yeah, Game 7. I mean, a shocker, right? A
Yeah.
shocker to all of us. It seemed like there was no way on earth Miami was winning this game
Yeah.
after losing 3 straight, the heartbreak that they experienced in game 6, and then going back to Boston for game 7. Seemed like there was no way in hell.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, if I'm Boston, Joe Mazzulla is getting kicked to the curb so freaking fast. Not to mention all the rotation things all the problems with the rotation, which trust me, there were a lot of problems with the rotation, the game management, all of that stuff. The challenge on Jimmy Butler's 2 that was turned to a 3.
Is that the worst challenge of all time?
It very well might be.
However,
the dude was so dumb he was smart, got the extra time added on, and then that ended with the third one.
It might be the worst challenge of all time.
So all of us down here are playing checkers. Mazzulla's playing chess, but he should be playing chess on the unemployment line because this Boston team this year, they were nowhere near as dominant as everyone expected.
Yeah.
Except for really only a couple times I can think throughout the year. And both times were when the Celtics' backs were against the wall.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see. My initial thought process is, or the ones that come to mind are game 6 and 7 against Philly.
Yeah.
Right? I know game 7, they just beat the living tar out of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember the score of game 6. I don't think it was all that close.
Yeah, I don't remember.
At least the double-digit win.
Yeah.
So that's when the Celtics played like the team we expected them to. Game 6 and game 7 in Philly. And then, of course, games 4 through 6 against Miami.
Yeah.
Their backs were against the wall. 1 loss and they're out. They come back all the way, force a game 7, and they come out flatter than a damn washboard.
Yeah.
I don't know if we thought they were going to win. I thought they were going to win. You thought they were going to win. The entire world thought they were going to win.
100%.
Did the Celtics think they were going to win? There's how many times did they lost game 1 against Miami? They lost game 1 against Philly. They went 6 games against Atlanta. They went 6 games against Atlanta when that shouldn't. There were just numerous times this year where the Celtics team just decided we're too good. We don't need to play hard. We don't need to play sharp. We don't need to be on our game. We're just better than them, so we're going to win.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in the NBA. And for some reason, this Mazzulla-led team did it way more often. I don't even remember the Udoka-led Celtics doing that.
Yeah.
They started off the season rough, but then once they turned it on, they were an absolute buzzsaw. They were on their game all the time. They kind of ran through the East. What the heck happened? And for me, it's all about coaching. So many times they were just not ready to play, and they thought, we're the Boston Celtics. We're a good team. We made the finals last year. We should win the East, and that's just not the case. And they just seems like they didn't play hard.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and I think something that contributes to kind of that cruise control mindset is Miami taking care of the Bucks. You and I believe we split either Bucks or Celtics, and that was kind of the only 2 teams we're thinking of. But this game was crazy. I thought, and I'm sure you did as well, I think the whole world did, after that devastating loss, Miami was just going to come out flat. Boy, were we wrong. Spoelstra got his boys ready, and they played a damn near perfect game. Jimmy Butler finally getting his shit together. Let's put it how it is. Struggled during those couple games, especially game 6. Coming back to his usual self, 28 points, 6 assists, 7 boards. But I want to give a special shout out to my guy, Caleb Martin.
I'm just pulling it up right now.
Literally has been phenomenal this entire series. Just absolutely killer. Game 7, he had 26. Game 6, he had 21. Game 5, he had 14 shooting, 5 for 12, 16 shooting for 6 for 9, 18, 7 for 11, 25 for 11, 16, 15 for 6 for 11. Just absolutely lethal out there, and it came into fruition in this Game 7. And he's honestly a big reason why this victory was so far apart.
Yeah, I tell you what, Sam. Right now, man, I'm literally looking at for this Boston series. Caleb Martin, 19.3 points per game, shot 60% from the field, 60% from the field, 49% from three.
Oh my God. And that 60%, he's not taking wide open layups, isn't he?
Right. Yeah. He was absolutely magnificent. And if you extend it to the entire playoffs, he was putting in 14 points a game on 57% shooting and 44% from three. So still rather efficient, still giving you double-digit points off the bench. I mean, that's incredibly valuable. Heat culture is as alive as it's ever been, Sam. And I tell you what, you said it. Spoelstra has boys ready to play, and that's just the difference in the series. There's no way in hell this Heat team should beat this Celtics team. It just shouldn't happen. Like, sorry, it should. That's what good coaching versus bad coaching does to you. And it went 7 because the Celtics are just that damn talented.
Yeah.
And if the Celtics get a good coach like Ime Udoka was last year, they ran into the Dynasty Warriors. They ran into the best shooter of all time. So what? He still took them like 6 games or whatever it was. Like, if they had that Udoka team this year, they run through the East, especially with the elimination of the Bulls that we just talked about. And they're probably playing the Nuggets. So, I mean, it's just Missoula really, it didn't seem like it's the answer. And Boston really needs to take a hard look inside to see who they want leading their team.
Yeah. And I want to rewind just a little bit. Spoelstra just having his boys ready. We saw throughout this series, especially when they started losing games. Oh, that's not who we are. This competition. This is their mindset never wavered throughout this series. As always on the next one, we gotta make the proper adjustments, and we'll come back better. And honestly, that's just a tribute to great coaching by Spoelstra. But we talked enough about this Heat team. You kind of dabbled into the Celtics problems, obviously coaching. But what happened with Jaylen Brown in Game 7? Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown disappeared, and that's now a recurring theme, right? It's NBA media loves to have these conversations. Do they have the clutch gene? Are they this? Are they that? Can they be the guy? Can they be a number one option on a championship team? And I mean, Jaylen Brown certainly has some work to do in that category. This is not the first time he struggled on the big stage. This is not the first time they needed him to step up, and he hasn't. I mean, Jason Tatum, he rolled his ankle in the first couple minutes of the game or so. So you already knew. I mean, he only took 13 shots, right? He clearly wasn't 100% healthy. I still think he could have. Still would have liked to see, just a little bit more aggressiveness from him. But I mean, he had that ankle, so I don't know how much it was affecting him. But you just knew right from that moment. It's like, oh, Jaylen Brown's going to have to step up. It's going to have to be his game, and he goes 8 for 23. It's just that can't happen. You only shot 2 free throws, minus 17 on the floor. Like that cannot happen from your second best player. And I mean, with the status of Tatum's ankle, that game probably was their best player on the floor for that game, just because of the injury. So that absolutely cannot happen. I do want to shout out Derek White, though. He was really the only reason that there was a possibility of a comeback. What was it? Midway through the third quarter, it was cut down to 8 or something.
Yeah.
And that was mainly because of Derek White and what he put in. Never thought we'd see a Derek White versus Caleb Martin back and forth in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. But hey, here we are. But yeah, Jaylen Brown was not good. was not good, and that's another big question for the Celtics is Jaylen Brown, because what is he? He's a free agent this offseason,
eligible for a supermax.
eligible for a supermax. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
It's not good though. It's not good. His track record of his 1 for 9 from 3. Oh my god.
yeah. How many turnovers did he have? You
He-
have it with you?
He had 8 turnovers.
Oh my god!
8 turnovers, 5 assists.
That's like me in 2K.
Oh,
God damn. But yep, he surprised kind of everyone and win Game 7, 103-84. They move on to the NBA Finals as an 8 seed, playing one of the hottest teams, coming off a damn near week's rest, the Denver Nuggets. Tanner, talk us through this matchup.
Dude, I am ready for some good old-fashioned rest versus rust, baby.
Yeah.
You already know whoever wins game 1 will dominate this debate for the next however many years till we get another just a prime time example of rest versus rust. But I mean, in all honesty, how can you not be excited? I mean, right? Heat culture. What does heat culture do really well? Defense. They are a gritty team. I mean, in game 7, what? They held Boston 84 points? 84.
Points.
So, Miami, good defensive team, really gritty, doesn't go away. Denver's the best offense in basketball.
Yeah.
So, something's got to give, right? Something has to give. I am a little worried just about Miami's ability to just keep up with Denver and just in pure scoring. Can they handle that type of game? Obviously, this is another classic example of Miami wants to slow it down. They want to play in the half court, defend for 24 seconds, get rebounds, limit second chance opportunities. Nuggets, they like to get up and down. How many times has Jokic, running the fast break, kicking it out to shooters? Yeah. Jokic also obviously one of the best rebounders and subsequently one of the best offensive rebounders in basketball right now. Can Bam Adebayo, who's a undersized big man, can he handle Jokic on the boards? Is like Gabe Vincent going to be guarding Jamal Murray? Can he keep him off the 3-point line? I mean, Gabe Vincent's a good defender. You have Kyle Lowry, just the pest that he always is. So I'm very curious as to how two differing play styles, which one will win out.
Yeah, and I think something that comes with the difference of play styles is who's going to win the coaching battle, because we have two of the best in the NBA, Mike Malone and obviously Eric Spoelstra, who we raved about for his performance in the Eastern Conference Finals. So that is another aspect of this game people need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to who's going to guard Jimmy Butler? Do you think Michael Porter Jr. probably, right?
Ooh.
But then who's guarding Caleb Martin? Caleb Martin might be the best player on the floor for the Heat. Who's going to be guarding Caleb Martin? Right? It's interesting.
Is it wild that I think Aaron Gordon might guard Jimmy Butler?
Aaron Gordon. I guess I forgot about Aaron Gordon there for a second.
Because look at the dudes he's guarded throughout the playoffs. I mean, he guarded damn near every superstar.
He guarded KD.
He guarded KD. He guarded who'd they play in the first round?
Minnesota.
He guarded
Ant.
I'm pretty sure he guarded Ant. He guarded LeBron.
I've had Gordon. I wasn't familiar with your defensive game. All right, Gordon.
Yeah, that
makes sense.
Wild. It's gonna be a wild series because if you look at these two teams on paper, it is very clear who's the better team.
Right. I mean, I feel like that's been the case. That's been the case in every Miami
series,
except for the Knicks. Right. The Knicks were the only team that was like about even talent wise. I would say the Heat are probably more talented than the Knicks are. So like every other series, they've been the far less talented team. So it's nothing new for the Heat.
Yeah, it's crazy. Game 1 tips off on release day at 7:30. So stay tuned for that. But Tanner, I got here your prediction. He got win this series, winning the Larry O'Brien trophy.
I am very excited to say I do think we have a new champion. New champion in all of NBA history. And I do think the Denver Nuggets, they've been the best team in basketball all season long. I just don't think the Heat can keep up with the Nuggets and the rest they got. They're going to be great. Michael Malone's going to have them ready to go. I got the Nuggets in 5. Nuggets in 5.
Gentlemen,
What
sweep.
about you?
Dude, everything is telling me to go with the Nuggets in 4. But
Which is why you're going to go to 8.
I'm gonna play it a little different. So that's why I got the Nuggets in 6. I think somehow, some way, Miami's gonna pull out a couple games in the series. So I have the Nuggets in 6. Any final thoughts on this finals, man?
Nah, not necessarily. I think we covered the bases. Just I'm really excited to see who can impose their will and play this series at their desired pace, because
Yeah.
obviously that's going to be a huge, going to play a huge part in who ends up hosting hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to wrap it up for the NBA talk for this episode. Obviously, we're going to be tuning back in throughout the NBA finals. But for the first time in a while, we are going to hop on the diamond with Dyslin. Tanner, the floor is yours.
I'm real excited, man. I was just trying to think about how I should do this, but you know what? I decided, let's talk about surprises. Surprises sound good to you?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, what do you think? Should we start with a good, like a surprise in the positive direction or in the negative direction? What do you want to start out with?
Good news.
Good news. All right. So my first surprise is going to be the Baltimore Orioles, Sam. Now, you don't follow baseball that closely. The Baltimore Orioles right now have played 56 games. What do you think their record is, just from knowing the Orioles?
56? 23.
23 wins?
Yep.
So what, 23 and 23? No, 23 and
Wow. Tough.
Dude,
You're our math guy.
I know.
Too. Come on now.
I know. It's 23 and 33.
There you
It
go.
took me a minute. So they're actually 35 and 21 this year.
Oh.
Baltimore Orioles are in second place. They are in second place in the best division in baseball. You want to know why this is the best division in baseball? The Boston Red Sox are in last place. They're 28 and 26. So all 5 teams are above 500 in the AL East. An absolute gauntlet.
Damn.
But in second place are the Baltimore Orioles at 35 and 21. Now this caused me to do a little bit of a deeper dive, Sam, because the Baltimore Orioles last year went on a great run. They were a fun surprise team that just missed out on the playoffs a year ago. But I think they finished near 500. I'm going to double check that right now. But they were a very fun team a year ago.
Yeah.
They were 2021 or 2022, excuse me. They were 83 and 79, so 4 games over 500, and they really turned it on in the second half of last season. So I did a little bit of a deeper dive. Now this tweet was on May 11th, so it's not exactly accurate to date, but the point is there, and give or take a few off.
Yeah.
But as of May 11th, the Baltimore Orioles in their last 162 games. So if that was the end of the season, 162 games previous, they're 93 and 69.
Oh my
93 and 69, and that is the second best record in the American League.
Damn.
Over that span. I think it's only second to the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
So
damn.
This Orioles team seemed to have turned a corner.
Yeah.
And it's great to see. I mean, the Orioles have been down for a while, and they're doing it on the backs of incredible young talent, guys like Grayson Rodriguez, guys like Gunnar Henderson, and of course, their stud catcher, their switch hitting catcher, Adley Rutschman, who was the number 1 overall pick a few years ago.
Yeah.
But they're really fun. They're a really fun watch. I mean, I just told you the strength of that division. And they're in second place, only behind the historic win rate of the Tampa Bay Rays that started off like 19-0 or whatever the hell they did.
Yeah.
So the Baltimore Orioles is surprise number 1. Now, should we go to a negative surprise?
Yeah.
My negative surprise, or team that is underperforming thus far is going to be the San Diego Padres. San Diego Padres, a very common pick to win the World Series. I think there were I saw a lot of tickets with them on it because I think they had pretty decent odds. They were probably the fifth or sixth, probably the fifth or sixth shortest odds. So you can still get some odds on it, but I mean the talent on this team is ridiculous. Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, Manny Machado went out and got Xander Bogaerts. That pitching can hold up with Darvish, Blake Snell, Joe Musgrove, all those guys. As it currently stands, the San Diego Padres are 25, and they actually lost today, so they're 25-30. They are in fourth place in the NL West, behind the likes of the Dodgers, who are leading division, their rival, who just owns them right now, which I guess the Padres beat them in the playoffs last year. But so far this year, the Dodgers have owned the Padres. The Diamondbacks right now, who are 32-23, another surprise team. I won't go into as much depth as I did some of these other teams, but the Diamondbacks, very, very surprising. Or not very, but they're a good team. Surprisingly good start. And then the Giants are 28-28. So the Padres are in fourth place in their division. And what's really surprising about it all is how much they've struggled offensively with all that talent that I had mentioned. Right now, the San Diego Padres are 24th out of 30 in runs. They are dead last in hits. Dead last. They are second to last behind only above the Oakland A's in batting average.
What?
I know. And they are 23rd out of 30th in OPS. So this team has just really struggled to hit the ball. Again,
gross.
Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, these are some of the best hitters in the game right now. And San Diego is really struggling to hit the ball, and it's leading to their rough start. So San Diego Padres looking for things to turn around. Pretty hot topic right now in the baseball world is why do these guys suck? Pretty much. Next, we'll stick with the negative side here, Sam, because this is going to be a whole division. The NL East. I mentioned the AL East, how really good they are. The NL East was a common pick to be an even better division than the AL East. You have the Braves, who right now I think have the best record in the National League, or they're half a game behind the Dodgers for the best record in the National League. So they're having a good year. A lot of people think this is the best roster in the National League, which I agree. So they were the favorites. Then you had the Mets, who won 101 games last year, brought in Verlander, right? They did some things to offset the loss of DeGrom, whether or not they gained games from DeGrom's common injury. A lot of people thought they would be even better this year with that pitching staff. They're 28-20 or 29-27, excuse me. They just won. But that pitching staff has been awful, just awful. I think their team ERA right now is 24th out of 30th right now. That's a roster that has Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander on it. There's no reason they should be that bad. You've also got the Philadelphia Phillies, who went to the World Series a year ago. They are 25-30, similar to the Padres. You have the Marlins, who have been the pleasant surprise, honestly. The Marlins are 28-27, right? I think 29-27 because they also won today. The Nationals, they are what we expected them. So really the Mets and Phillies having subpar seasons is really or subpar seasons thus far is really kind of bringing this division down, one that a lot of people expected to be one of the best in baseball. Not really looking at it right now, but of course we're only 56 games into the season, so things can certainly change. And diving a little bit deeper into that, the NL East scenario, a player who's been a big disappointment, Trey Turner, Sam. If you remember the WBC. The WBC, Trey Turner was a shortstop for Team USA. He played 6 games. He had 5 home runs, 6 runs scored, 9 hits, and 11 RBIs, hitting .391.
Yeah.
That's in 6 games.
Oh Lord.
In 53 games as a Philadelphia Philly, he has 5 home runs, the same amount he had in 6 games in
Tough.
WBC. He has 15 RBIs. He had 11 in the WBC in 6 games. And he's hitting 240 to the 391 he was hitting in the WBC. So he has been a big disappointment and a big reason why the Phillies have not been playing as well as a lot of people expected them to. And then lastly, one more surprise to talk about, Sam. I know I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry. It's just been a very surprising MLB season thus far. The Texas Rangers. They have made some big moves over the past few years. Last year, bringing in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, a $500 million infield over the length of their contracts. They, of course, brought in Jacob deGrom this offseason, the big name that he is in fortifying that rotation. Also, some smaller signings like John Gray from the Rockies, like Nathan Eovaldi, just to add depth to this rotation. And while deGrom has been injured, yes, and the outlook isn't great for his return, right now the Texas Rangers are 35-20 and lead the AL West, which includes, of course, the defending champion Houston Astros. This team absolutely rakes.
Yeah.
Absolutely rakes. I mean, all the stats I was reading at before with the Padres, Texas Rangers, number 1 in runs scored. They are number 1 in average. They are number 3 in hits. They don't hit a ton of home runs. They are 9th in home runs, but this team absolutely rakes.
Yeah.
Their offense has been incredible thus far, and I think they have like a plus 140 some odd run differential. This team has been really good thus far, and it's going to be interesting because will that pitching without Jacob deGrom, which seems like going to be for a while, get used to it, Rangers fans, but it seems like it's going to be for a while. Can that pitching hold up? Because that offense absolutely rakes.
Yeah.
Now I can take a breath.
Yeah. Thank you, Tanner, for that. A lot of interesting storylines. I think one of the most interesting one is that Padres, because even as a non-baseball fan, I recognize all those names and how good they have been in years past, just struggling tremendously to start out the season. Luckily for them, there's like 100 more games. So
we'll
see if they get
a lot of time to get rolling.
Yeah.
A lot of time to get rolling. And it's baseball. Like the Phillies fired their manager last year, made the World Series.
Yeah.
Like things happen. 2021 Braves won 83 games or something like that. And won or maybe it was a little bit more than that, but won not a lot of games and went on to win the World Series. Another little thing I'd like to note: the AL Central, historically bad division. The Minnesota Twins right now are leading that division at 28-27. They'd be in last place in the AL East. Yeah,
that's tough. That's tough to beat. But yeah, thank you so much for that little MLB catch up. That was awesome to hear. Always good to be on the diamond with Dyslin. We are getting to wrap up the show. Unfortunately, we only got one question for this episode, but this comes from Ryan Kearney of Rhodey on the Horn podcast. If you're interested in hockey, they are covering the Stanley Cup in depth, so make sure to tune into that. But he wants to know, Tanner, where does Jaylen Brown go this offseason, if not Boston?
Yeah, this is a good question. First off, even before we get into that, do you think he's leaving Boston? Do you think that's a foregone conclusion?
I don't think it's foregone conclusion.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. But I tell you what, man, looking at where things sit, I kind of have a team that it obviously makes sense, but it's a team that hasn't really competed for a while. And I think Jaylen Brown will be a good ticket into competition with some of their younger guys that they've been building from the draft. Give me the Houston Rockets. Give me the Houston Rockets. You have a young team, right? You have pieces in place. You have Jalen Green. You have Kevin Porter Jr. You have
Jabari Smith.
Jabari Smith. Thank you. You have Alperen Sengun, right? You have young pieces.
And
you bring in
incoming third pick.
And the incoming third pick. Now you add
or fourth pick. So
a top five
top
pick,
five,
right?
Yeah.
You have a top 5 pick coming in. Now you have the possibility to add a star right now in the NBA. We can talk about his shortcomings in big games all we want.
Yeah.
He's a star in the NBA.
Yep.
This dude can absolutely score with the best of them. He's 26 years old. So it's not like they're giving away their future by bringing in some geese in a win now mode.
Yeah.
Like, no, he's 26 years old. He's like entering his prime.
Yeah.
So you bring him in, you let him be the number one option. Again, was there historically someone who you saw a lot of potential to be a number one option, but couldn't with the players on his team, goes to Houston and becomes a superstar? Have you seen this before? No. Yeah, we haven't seen it before. Wouldn't blame you for erasing that one. But yeah, I think Houston would be a damn good fit for him. Just a place where he can go play ball. It's not, you don't have the expectations of Boston. You have the young pieces around, and you can just start to build a competitor over in Houston with the young pieces. So I think Houston.
Yeah, I actually really like that. I think if he was to stay in Boston, I think you have to fire the coach and get a new one.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you can run it back.
Yeah. I think if they run it back with same squad, you got to have a new coach. But let's look at things if he does end up going somewhere else. I got 2 destinations. I think he'd be a great fit here. I think both of them are in the East, surprisingly. I think Cleveland would be really interesting with Darius Garland, Donnie, and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, that would be a squad.
Because that's like the one position they're missing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, they have the Mobley Allen at the 4-5.
Yeah.
Then they had Garland, Donovan at the 1-2. I don't even remember who else they started.
Who was there?
Who else did they start? It's not LeVert. He came off the bench.
Yeah.
I'll continue to look for it, but I mean that talk about
if we can't even think of that would be because the problem Cleveland ran into is Donovan Mitchell needs help. Darius Garland, obviously, tremendous player. I think he's just going to get better as his career goes on. But putting another option, Jaylen Brown is definitely one of those guys. And then the other team I'm looking at is the Charlotte Hornets. I think that'd be a kind of plug and chug kind of offense. LaMelo Ball can get anyone the ball. They've obviously lost Bridges with his off the court issues. Putting him in with that young core. Gordon Hayward's kind of on his way out, getting up there in age. Won't be around for too much longer. I think bringing in a player as dynamic as Jaylen Brown would be an awesome fit for there. So my 2 teams I'm looking at, if Jaylen Brown does leave Boston, is the Cleveland Cavs and the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, I mean that's what's so interesting about this scenario right now is that when I mentioned he's 26 years old.
Yeah,
there aren't going to be teams that are just out on him because they don't need an aging veteran. How many people are eligible for their supermax at 26?
Yeah.
Right, so all these teams that have cap space, seems like they're going to be in the mix.
Yeah.
And from what I've looked at, it looks like it was Isaac Okoro.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
Who was the starter? So yeah, that would be an upgrade.
Yeah, believe it or not. But let us know what you think about this whole Jaylen Brown. Obviously, it's kind of a trending topic due to his piss poor performance in Game 7. Let's put it how it is. But that will wrap it up for episode 92 of Crunch Time with the N326 duo. Congrats. You have made it to the end of the episode. So shout out to you. We talked about a lot in this episode, winners and losers, some amazing comebacks on the MLB side of things, the burner account drama in the NBA, then talked about that game 7, talked about NBA finals, and then we hopped on the diamond to kind of end things. But you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at crunchtime_pod. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crunch Time with the N326 duo as well. But with that, the clock has run out on this episode, but we'll see you on the next one on Crunch Time.